Hello and welcome to my channel, Homemade Mathematics, where you can build your skills and confidence in math on your own at home. Today is the start of a series that is highly requested. It is an ACT prep series. So in this video, I'm going to go over the first set of practice questions that you can find on the website act.org. There's 5 sections with 12 questions each, so a total of 60 questions, just like the real thing. I will go over different strategies for each, so feel free to follow along, or if you want to try it on your own first, go ahead and pause this, get on that website, go ahead, try it out, and then you can come back here to check it. If you do end up using a different strategy than the ones I talk about, please leave that in the comments so you can help other students that may have looked at the problem like you did. And if you aren't already, please subscribe so you don't miss the other 4 videos in this series, as well as at the end, I'm gonna do some just general tips to prepare you for test day. Okay, so I'm going to start with number 1, and then I kind of don't go in order, I just go by what I could fit in the screenshot. So if you're looking for a specific problem, go ahead and check out the description. I will have all the timestamps in there. So you have a car that gets 27 miles per gallon. Each gallon is $4.04. And they want to know how much it would cost if you traveled 2,727 miles. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a proportion first to figure out how many gallons I would be using and then use that to find the cost. So if 27 miles is 1 gallon and I want to know how much is 2,727, since that is the miles, I'm going to put that up on top, and then on bottom I would have X as my gallons to figure out how many gallons. So you could cross multiply and divide, or you might notice we're basically just taking our total miles divided by the miles per gallon to get how many gallons we would need total. Once we know how many gallons we are using, then we know it costs $4.04 per gallon. So we want to take that 101 gallons and take it times that $4.04, because for every gallon it's going to be another $4.04, so we got to multiply that, and that will get us our grand total of $408.04. In number 7, they give us an equation telling us that D stands for the feet deep, and then they tell us that the mine is 150 feet deep. So you're basically just taking that 150 and plugging it in for D. So it's D squared, so instead of D we're putting 150, so 150 squared over 25 plus 4 times D, which again is 150, and then minus 250, which you can put that in your calculator and you should end up with D, 1,250. Moving on to number 2, they give us the value of X and Y. They give us 2 equations, and we need to know how much larger or how much it exceeds the value of the second one. So we're just gonna plug in. Wherever there is an X, we're gonna replace it with 3. Wherever there's a Y, we're gonna replace it with 5, and then we're gonna use order of operations to solve it. So 3 times X, which is 3, they tell us that, so 3 squared, minus 2 times our Y, which is 5, so we're just gonna replace that Y with 5, and from there we can go ahead and solve this, right? You gotta do exponents first, so 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9, and then we multiply that times our 3 to get 27, right? We multiply before we subtract. 2 times 5 is 10, 27 minus 10 gets us 17. Now we're going to do the second part of this, again replacing our X with 3 and our Y with 5, and then solving it out. So again, exponents first, so we said 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9, times our 2 gets us 18, 3 times 5 gets us 15, and then if we subtract those we get 3. So now remember, we're trying to see how much the first exceeds the second, so we are going to subtract those. The first equation is 14 larger than the second. Moving on to number 3, which is just a multi-step equation solving for X. If you need some practice on this, I do have a whole separate video on this topic. But basically we want to get our X's on one side and then our numbers on the other. So I'm getting rid of that 2X by subtracting it. I'm left with 3 on the left. 3X minus 2X, I'm left with 1X or just X, and then my minus 4. Now I want to get rid of that minus 4, so I can solve for x. To get rid of minus 4, we're going to add 4 to find that x is 7. And remember, you can always check this by plugging in, right? 2 times 7 gets me 14, plus 3 gets me 17. 3 times 7 is 21, minus 4 also gets me 17. So since we know it works out, we know we got the answer right. In number 8, they are wanting us to come up with the equation for the length. So first of all, they tell us the length is 3 inches less. So if it's less, we should know to subtract twice its width. All right, so we know we use W to represent width, so 2 times W is twice the width, and then 3 inches less than that would get us that minus 3, which you can see would be J. In number 4, they're wanting us to find the greatest common factor, so the largest number that all 3 could be divided by and get a whole number, which we could go and make our factor trees for all of these, but this is the ACT. That takes a lot of time, and we're given the answers. All right, I know all of those are divisible by 2, but I want the greatest common factor. So I'm going to just go ahead and start with the largest one and see if all of them can be divided by it. If they can, that'd be the greatest common factor. If not, we're going to try the next one. So when I divided 210 by 42, I got 5, so that one worked out. When I divided 126 by 42, I got 3, so that also worked out. And then obviously 42 divided by itself is going to get us 1. So since they are all divisible by 42, and that is the largest option, our answer would be J. In number 9, they tell us that our sides are parallel. So I'm going to go ahead and extend those out. So basically I have 2 parallel lines with a transversal crossing them, which then if you look at those 2 angles, those are same side interior angles, which we know are supplementary, which means they equal 180 degrees together. So if the other angle is 70, what would the other have to be so that they equal 180? So 180 minus 70, we would get 110, which is D. And then number 10, irrational numbers. There are infinitely many irrational numbers between any number. So between 1 and 6, infinitely many. In number 5, we have 3 years. So I'm going to go ahead and write this out to track it. So from year 1 to year 2, it went up 3 million. So that would be plus 3 million. From year 2 to year 3, it says that it doubled. So that would be like taking it times 2. Now they tell us that in the 3rd year, we end up with $38 million. So we're going to need to work backwards. So from year 2 to 3, we doubled or took it times 2. So to go backwards, opposite of multiply would be divide by 2, which means year 2 was 19 million. And then remember, we added 3 million from year 1 to 2. So we're going to want to subtract that off to get that we started in year 1 with 16 million. In number 11, it says a typical high school student consumes 67.5 pounds of sugar per year, and they want them to consume at least 20% less than that. So we're figuring out what would be the maximum amount of sugar they can consume each year. So what you could do is you could find out what is 20% of 67.5. So you do 67.5 times your percent as a decimal. So divided by 100 would make it 0.20. Right? You could get whatever that 20% is and then subtract it off from the 67.5 to get your answer. However, a quicker way, if you know it's 20% off, that means you're actually taking what percent of it? 80%. So 80% as a decimal is 0.80, and then that would get you your answer. So either way you chose to do it, you should have ended up with 54 pounds, D. All right, we're on the last 2 for this set and this video. So looking at number 6, we have some rays that were constructed. They give us information. They tell us that those 2 are equidistant, and that F is also equidistant from those 2 lines. So the sum to 30, 45, and 60, I have no idea where those numbers are coming from. They don't give us any information about that. So it's either equal or not equal, which if they are equidistant, they are equal. All right, our last one's a little tricky. They give us 3 vertices of a rectangle, and we have to find the fourth. All right, so I'm going to use going from that point 2, 1 to negative 1, negative 1. So you'll notice my x goes from 2 to negative 1. So my x is going down by 3, and then my y is going from 1 to negative 1. So my y is going down by 2. So now I'm going to want to do that same thing from my point 6, negative 5 to get that so that it's equidistant. All right, so remember with our x, we went down 3. So 6 minus 3, our x would be at 3. With y, we went down by 2. So negative 5 minus 2 would get us negative 7. So our fourth point of this rectangle is going to be at 3, negative 7. This website is an excellent resource to practice your ACT. So if you haven't already, go check it out, act.org. I just put in the search bar practice math, and this 5-set series came up, and it will even tell you if you got it wrong, some tips to look for. So I'll be sure to check that out, give it a try, and I will be going over set 2 next, so make sure you tune in for that. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end and preparing for your ACT test with me. If you found this helpful, please give the video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any other videos from me.